अस्सलाम वालेकुम पाकिस्तान। मैं हूं अस्मा मुस्तफ़ा ख़ान और आप देख रहे हैं आस्क अस्मा। आस्क अस्मा को शुरू करने का, कंटिन्यू करने का जहां पे मकसद उलझने सुलझाने का है, वहीं पे इसका मकसद एक और भी है। इसका ये भी मकसद है कि पाकिस्तान में हम आपकी मुलाकात उन शख्सियात से करा सकें जो पाकिस्तान के समाजी और सियासी दायरे से ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं। इसीलिए इस शो में वक्तन फ़वक्तन हम आपकी मुलाकात कराएंगे कुछ ऐसी पर्सनैलिटीज़ से जिनको आप देखना चाहते हैं, जिनसे आप मिलना चाहते हैं और आप उनसे वो बातें करना चाहते हैं जो आपको जनरली वो करते हुए नज़र नहीं आते। एक ऐसी ही शख्सियत की मुलाकात हम आपकी आज कराएंगे। ये कौन है, ये इसके लिए मैं आपको कुछ क्लूज़ देना चाहती हूँ। आई थिंक मैं आपको एक दो क्लूज़ ही दूंगी एंड यू विल बी एबल टू गेस इट। ये वो है जिनका आबाई मुल्क तो ये नहीं है, लेकिन जब इस मुल्क में आई तो ना सिर्फ इस मुल्क के एक बाशिंदे को अपना दिल दिया बल्कि पूरे मुल्क को दे दिया। और ये मैं इसलिए कह रही हूँ क्योंकि इस मुल्क को इन्होंने इतनी खूबसूरती से अपनाया, ना सिर्फ इसकी अच्छाइयों को बल्कि इसकी बुराइयों को। इसमें शिरकत की तो ना सिर्फ इसकी खुशियों में शरीक हुई बल्कि इसकी परेशानियों को भी अपना माना। आई थिंक इतना बेहतरीन काम किया, हमें ऐसे रिप्रेजेंट करती हैं कि शायद मैं इस मुल्क में रहने वाली एक खातून जो यहीं पली बड़ी हूँ, शायद मैं भी कभी कभी इतनी खूबसूरती से रिप्रेजेंट नहीं करती जितनी खूबसूरती से ये रिप्रेजेंट करती हैं। पाकिस्तानियों की मनपसंद भाभी हैं, इसके अलावा कुछ, इसके बाद कुछ रह नहीं जाता। मैं बात कर रही हूँ शनीरा अकरम की। जब आई थी तो हम इनको सिर्फ वसीम अकरम की बेगम के तौर पे जानते थे, मगर अब आई एम वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट शनीरा नाउ हैज़ अ पर्सनैलिटी दैट वी आर अ फैन ऑफ। हम वसीम अकरम के भी फ़ैन हैं, लेकिन अब हम शनीरा अकरम के भी फ़ैन हो गए हैं और हम जानना चाहते हैं कि ये तमाम ट्रांजिशन आसान नहीं थी, नहीं होगी। मेरा परसेप्शन ये है, अपने मुल्क को छोड़ के किसी ऐसे मुल्क आना जिससे आपका कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है, ना रंग आपका, ना नस्ल आपकी, ना ज़बान आपकी, उसके साथ साथ एक ऐसी शादी निभाना जिसके अंदर एकदम से बहुत ज़्यादा लाइमलाइट है, एक ऐसी शादी निभाना जिसके डे वन से ही आपको एक मज़ीद बड़ा रुतबा दे दिया जाता है माँ बनने का। लॉट्स टू टॉक अबाउट। और खूबसूरती से जो कैंपेन्स चला रही हैं आजकल, चाहे अपने कहते हैं ना अपने मुल्क को साफ़ करने के लिए उसमें हाथ गंदे करने ज़रूरी हैं, वी सी शनीरा डूइंग ऑल ऑफ दिस। अगर आप शनीरा से कोई गुफ्तगू करना चाहते हैं, बात करना चाहते हैं, द वे टू गेट टू अस इज़ थ्रू आवर सोशल मीडिया। एक ब्रेक लेते हैं, ब्रेक के बाद कम बैक इफ़ यू वांट टू लर्न मोर अबाउट शनीरा अकरम। वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक। आप देख रहे हैं आस्क अस्मा और आज आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस, इसलिए बिकॉज दिस इज़ अ डिफरेंट शो फ्रॉम व्हाट यू हैव बीन सीइंग बिफोर। इससे पहले हम जब शोज़ कर रहे थे तो मसले सुलझाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन आज हम मुलाकात करना चाहते हैं एक ऐसी ही खातून से जिनके बारे में मैंने आपको बताया, जो कि बहुत सारे मसलों को सुलझाने की कोशिश कर रही है। शनीरा अकरम इज़ विद अस। आइए आपकी मुलाकात कराते हैं। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर बीइंग ऑन द शो शनीरा। हाउ डू यू फील? Because I mean, like I said in the introduction, when you came to Pakistan, we all knew you as Wasim Akram's wife. I mean, Wasim Akram, of course, is an icon for us. Being his wife was equally important. So I would say we've seen a side of Shaniera which is not Wasim Akram's wife only, which is truly her own, and that was the reason we called you over today, because this show is about you and your personality.
Thank you. I mean, I've always been me. When I moved here, I think I was so swept up in everything, learning the culture and being in a new country, that maybe it took a little while understanding all that before I was to find my voice.
Super. So we're going to break this show. हम इस शो को आप साथ साथ ट्रांसलेशन देख भी रहे होंगे और मैं करती भी जाऊंगी। हम इस शो को डिवाइड करेंगे। When I was designing this show, it was interesting. I went through your Instagram and all the Facebook, and no, it was very good. And I came across a post where you had posted a selfie declaring your age, which is not very common, right? And when you're a woman in Pakistan, you'd rather try to conceal it, brush it under the carpet. And when I saw that, I said, perfect. The show is in 4 segments, and I want to talk about every aspect of your life.
I'm proud of being my age. I think, especially women approaching, 40. It's a big time in our life because you don't really know. And I'm sorry for the younger viewers, but you really don't know who you are. You come into your own at 40, and there needs to be more embracing of that, because
so 40 years and we want to know each one of them.
How long is this show?
Let's start with your childhood. बचपन की बातें कुछ करते हैं शलीना के साथ. Yeah, so from 0 to 10, I want you to tell us. We know where you were born, but we want you to tell us again. So where were you born? How was life like? Where did you grow up?
Oh, so you know that big continent down the bottom of the world, and everyone said is so far.
It is.
So that's Australia.
Yeah.
And then if you go right down the bottom, that's Melbourne.
Right.
And that's where I'm from.
Okay, so that's where you
the
grew up.
furthest, sorry to the people of Tasmania, but that's a little bit further. But right down the bottom, my mother was Dutch. She was an immigrant that came over to Australia when she was about five or six, and her family all came from Holland, and they started with the immigration of Australia. So I was really lucky to have that side of my mother. And then my father is a 3rd or 4th generation Australian.
Right.
They fell in love when they were young, and then yeah, so I came along. I was the first out of 4 girls.
What was your personality like?
I was I mean, it would be difficult to describe in the way, but I was a normal Australian kid. I played
now you have to define that for us, because we have no idea what a normal Australian kid is like.
Normal middle-class Australian child, grew up under, you know, on the hot summer days we'd run under a sprinkler or a hose in the backyard, and barbecues. We didn't have too much families back in the 80s and 90s, because I think with the immigration in Australia, a lot of people lost family. Yeah. So you'd have more of a family with people in your street. So like your neighbours would become your family. Yeah. Everyone would help out. Your friends became your family, because we needed to sort of have some kind of support system. Yeah. And not a lot of people had their family around. So but families were very tight. Right. Meaning very, very close. Yeah. And same as all kids, we didn't, you know, we'd watch video on a VCR and that you'd get from a video shop on the weekend, and maybe have fish and chips for dinner on a Friday night.
Who were you most closest to when the 4 apples were all complete?
We're all very similar.
Oh, are you?
Very similar,
which is so rare in
but very different also.
Okay.
So me and the third daughter, the eldest from the second, we're very similar. Oh, so we're both very tall. Okay. And we're darker blonde. Right. Whereas the second one and the last one, they look very similar. Really? And they're very, very blonde, and they have you know, we're just very different looking, but similar as well. Similar as well.
And amongst the parents, who were you more closer to? Do you remember? I mean, I know it's too long ago, but any incidents
in Australia,
which are quoted to you?
We had four television channels when I grew up. That's it. 2 newspapers and 4 channels. Wow. So Australia was very, you know, very coddled. Whatever was on television, that's what we were watching. And if a movie was on Channel 7, one of the channels, everyone you knew watched that same movie. That's what we grew up in. My dad was my hero, and like everyone's father is the hero, and my mother was, you know, my role model. So that they were my world.
How was school like? I mean, was schools? I know you have a daughter now, and she's school going. But when you compare, was schools as regimented, I would assume, as they are here, or would you have a different schooling system?
We have a lot of emphasis on sport. Yeah. Extracurricular activities such as you know, gymnastics or swimming or hockey, volleyball, anything you can do that's outside. Oh, nice. You know, we don't really have this homework, tutor, study kind of culture. It's more, if I was home studying, my parents would probably get angry at me and tell me to get outside in the sunshine and start playing sport. Wow. So it's completely
the opposite.
But you've got to remember, there's only, back then when I was younger, probably only 15, 17 million people in Australia. Yeah. So that competitiveness, I suppose,
wasn't there.
Yeah, it was about living. It was about enjoying life. You only have one chance at being young, so enjoy it.
But that remains the same.
I remember these days, parents yell at their children for being on the games and playing computer games. But back when I was younger, it was don't watch TV, don't watch videos, get outside. Yeah. So that's a good way to be, and that's an Aussie way to be.
Right.
So it's good, but you know, times also change. In Pakistan, there's a lot more people, and there's a lot more competition to be the best and get better grades, to get better job or get a better degree, so you can go into university. And
you're right.
And
but having said that, there's still the similarity is there's still only one chance to be young. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk what happened when the little girl became the teenager, the first teenager of the house. What did she do? What were the embarrassing moments? अगर आप ये सब जानना चाहते हैं कि उसके बाद क्या हुआ, एक छोटी सी बच्ची जो कि बहुत अच्छी सी इनकी ज़बान में वेल मैनर्ड अच्छी बच्ची थी, जब वो बड़ी हुई उसके बाद क्या हुआ, एक ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक के बाद आपको फिर से ज्वाइन करेंगे. कीप वॉचिंग आस्क अस्मा. Welcome back after the break. You're watching Ask Asma. We have Shanira Akram with us. और अब तक हमने थोड़ी सी बचपन की बात की है. अब हम चाहते हैं कि मैं जानना चाह रही हूँ कि कुछ तो twist होगा personality में. As I'm telling them, it's not possible that you were the nice child who didn't do any mischief. You know, I want to know more about that side of the personality. So what happened when you grew up? Do you have any memory of your teenage years or no?
Well, how old do you think I am? I was 27.
No, because, yeah, so I mean, my memory is pathetic. If you ask me how my life was 0 to 10, I wouldn't be able to tell as much as you've told.
Oh.
Yeah, no, very bad. So you remember your teenage, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about that. How was that like?
Wow. So, I became a teenager. I think for anyone that's difficult, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the hardest part of your life.
Yeah.
You're too young to be taken as an adult, and you're too old to be treated as a child.
Kind of stuck in between.
So you're that girl becoming a woman, not yet a girl. You're like, you know, you're just sort of debuting. And
I want to ask you something. Since your mother was Dutch and your father was Australian,
yes.
Was your sense of identity very strong, or did you feel at times back in the day that you were either here or neither here nor here? Did you go through any of that?
I think because all of my mother's family were all Dutch and they had their European ways, and my grandparents spoke in Dutch. I think that contributed to the fact that I wasn't a typical Australian. Well, not typical Australian because now it's so multicultural. But it gave me there's a lot of diversity, and a lot of families have diversity. If you go into that diversity, you realise that there's so much culture. I mean, Australia is so young. I mean, Pakistan's young as well.
Yeah.
As a continent, we're very young.
Yeah.
And so we're made up of so many different races of people from all over the world that from back then, from today, it's just such a mix.
Yeah.
But back then, everyone's got something. So if you go into your culture and what it's about, it's really interesting. I think that started the fact that I wanted to explore what that means to me.
Did the little Shanira, the teenager Shanira, knew what she wanted to do in life at that point?
I knew,
or was it all about cooking?
Because my family were so. You know, education wasn't. If you finished year 12, you were sort of lucky. Back in when my parents were younger, and they finished year 12 and they went to work.
Right.
They thought, if we want to make a mark in Australia, we have to work. We have to get our hands dirty. So I would say I came from two parents that worked the hardest they could to give everything for their children. Yeah. So that was my role model.
Right.
So I saw that and said, I want to be that. You know, because when you're younger, you want to be what your parents are. They're your everything. Yeah. I suppose now these kids have like Justin Bieber and all this
other
kind of
role models to look at.
But back then, we didn't have that.
Did you have anything on your list? The doctor, the teacher, the astronaut, the architect?
I wanted to be everything.
Really?
I remember having a list. I wanted to be everything.
Were you considered a confused teenager? Well, teenagers generally are. But, or did you really think I can be all of that?
I had a list. I remember I came to my mum and she said, life's just not that long. You can't be all those things. And I said, no, I can.
What did that list entail?
Well, if you sort of break it down, when I was 13, I think 12 years and 9 months or 13 years and 9 months was the legal age to work in Australia. Okay. You could get a part-time job.
Right.
So as well as studying, I went at that day that it became the legal age.
Wow.
I went and got myself a job.
Excellent.
So I worked everything from McDonald's. I was working in kitchen hand. I worked in beauty therapy. I worked in a kids playroom, which later on, by the time I was 15, I operated the whole playroom for children. And then petrol station.
Wow, done it all.
You name it.
Yeah.
I did it all. And I probably had 3 jobs, 3 after-school jobs.
Wow.
That I didn't have to do it to bring home income for the family. I did it.
It was just for yourself.
For me, I wanted to work.
Yeah.
It was part of me. I wanted to experience everything I could. Even something like being a waitress. I did that when I was about 15. That's one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah.
Because you're taking criticism for what other people's food that you're bringing them,
You're
and
the intermediary who gets it all.
You're dealing with customer service, and people who are in customer service know if you can experience, you can master customer service, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just that was a life lesson.
So you want it to be all of that. Today, if I give you that list back, how many items would you check? We have that list. We got it from your mother.
That was very ambitious, that list. Very ambitious.
We'll talk about how many items would Shanira be able to check, but we'll take a break and we'll catch you right after this. Welcome back after the break. हम गपशप कर रहे हैं शनीरा से. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Were you really such a nice girl? Always didn't do any trouble, not a troublemaker at all?
Absolutely not. You're probably not asking the right question.
I have to maneuver my way around.
It takes a long time for someone to become. I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm certainly not saying I'm a stand-up role model.
Yeah.
But you know, I always stand up for what is right, and I always put myself amongst and with my community and where I'm from, because you know, I'm a part of that. So
I'll talk more about that.
You have to make a lot of mistakes before you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because if you're not making many mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
We were talking about your checklist. And Shanira said it was an ambitious one, which is so good. I mean, the higher you dream, the higher you reach. And out of that checklist, you moved on to do several jobs. You went into the fashion, you went into PR. What else did you do? And what excited you the most at that point in time?
I started. I had my own boutiques, clothes boutiques, which I had managed, and then I went into PR. PR was fantastic. Was looking after a lot of venues and working with a lot of people from Melbourne. Melbourne's like it's a part of Australia. It's a smaller community in Australia. It's kind of like Lahore. In terms of everyone knows everyone, and it's 6 degrees of separation, and it's a tight community. Even Melbourne's sort of different from the rest of Australia. Okay. Melbourne on their own, or Melbourne. Okay. So working in Melbourne was amazing, and it was you know, we have a great community there. Okay. But I just every person I met a lot of contacts and a lot of people. I just wanted to do more, and so the only thing that filled that void was working with charity. Okay. So I started working a lot with a lot of charity-based, a lot of Melbourne-based charities. Okay. The Fred Hollows Foundation, I worked with them. I worked a lot for juvenile diabetes. It is this part of your life that you also met Wasim. That was a little bit later. A little bit later. Marriage was way off the cards for me. I wanted to just live and work and be young. And I think your 20s, if you're older and you're listening to this, your 20s go so fast. Everyone will be thinking, I can remember my teens. Yeah. My 20s? They were hazy. Like, teens were surviving. 20s were making mistakes and just living for the... and probably your 30s is about, you know, responsibility, learning from those mistakes, really. So later, when you met Wasim, how long was the duration when you met him and finally you made the decision to marry him? What was the duration in between? It was quite a while ago now. I knew with Wasim, when we met each other, we were friends. Okay. And he was going through a very, very tough time. as we all know. And I think I was a bit of an escape because I didn't know anything about cricket really. I wasn't a big cricket fan, like the rest of Australia. But we just had a friendship and laughed. You know, we laughed with each other. We could talk to each other, and then we came to our paths crossed again, and he was with his children, and I met his children, and from then it was not far off that. It just happened. There was a bond between us, and we thought this is like different generations apart, different countries. How would this work? But we didn't have that conversation because we just sort of knew.
Wow.
It was really weird.
Did the responsibility, I mean, because you were not only marrying Wasim, you were becoming a mother from day one, taking on, I don't know if they call you mum or whatever they call you by the name, but it was you were coming in that role. Did it scare you?
I didn't think I had time to be scared.
Really?
I'm not one to really, scare easily.
Yeah.
Because, but I do get scared of things. Spiders still scare me.
This
but
is a big responsibility.
I went into just, overdrive. I met the children and I fell in love with them.
Wow.
And I think, to be honest, I fell in love with them first. They were just gorgeous and they were at a beautiful stage in their life.
Yeah.
And then I realized they don't really need a friend, they need a mum.
Yeah.
So let's try this out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they liked me, but we had a family discussion, which wasn't a family then, but we had a discussion and it suited the children. And that's when Wasim and I decided to get married.
How did your family take it? I mean, you had 3 sisters, of course, I'm sure there was some kind of friendship. And the parents, when you discussed it with them, what were their apprehensions? They were sending their daughter to somewhere that they probably, I don't know, they must have heard of because of cricket, but they had never seen.
Not every day you ring your dad and go, hi dad, I'm in Pakistan. And
exactly. And with everything attached to it.
I think we probably had to use, I think Wasim's children were sort of the easy part maybe.
Oh really? And
back then I say Wasim's children, but our children. Was my family that we really had to. But people fear what they don't know. So my family were probably a little bit apprehensive. I was moving to Pakistan, but once you bring people and show people what Pakistan is like, you can't.
Then it's pretty easy.
There's nothing but
did they come before did they come before the wedding or later?
No, not for the wedding. After the wedding.
Wow. Yeah. Brave parents.
The wedding happened kind of quickly. As Pakistanis would do.
Excellent. We'll talk more about, because when you came to the country, you, like I said in the intro, you not only took the good, you also took the bad and ugly, and you also tried to represent it in a way that we're very, very proud of, and we're very grateful to you for that. We'll talk more about that. Let's take a short break, and we'll see you right after this. वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक। आस्क अस्मा में आज हमारे साथ है मेरी, आपकी, हम सब की पाकिस्तान की भाभी। और पाकिस्तान की भाभी वो अब बनी, क्योंकि अब तक हमने बात की कि उनकी वसीम अकरम से मुलाकात हुई और उसके बाद झटपट शादी हो गई और फिर वो पाकिस्तान आ गई। So when you came to Pakistan, you have to be honest with us. I know you've been honest with us throughout, but was there any culture shock? Or you think you were very prepared for everything that you saw?
No, absolutely not prepared. This is Pakistan. I'm still not prepared. But like I said, Australia is very cultural and very diverse. So there's a lot of culture in Australia, and so it wasn't not normal for me to know different families the way they are and everything. But I think when I came to Pakistan, I had my head down. I was focusing on 2 young boys, trying to love them and giving them a normal, stable environment with an Australian mum. Sorry boys, I'm sorry.
Giving them a normal environment with an Australian mum, I like that.
I just did what I knew how, and that's love.
I heard you saying somewhere that you went through books, you read about all of this.
Oh yeah, I read every book I could on raising boys.
Yeah.
Because I came from an all-girl family. I went to an all-girl school.
Wow.
So I hadn't really had much to do with boys, but I did everything I could to understand them in the way that they are there when they grow up, and Yeah, raising children is a full-time thing.
Work. And just a year and a half later, you had Isla.
Yes, a year and a half, we were blessed with a little girl.
Yeah.
And she came along. Love you, Isla.
How did motherhood change you? I'm sure it changed
it's
you.
It's like I did it in reverse.
Yeah?
So I spent the first 2-3 years I was in Pakistan, raising Timur and Akbar.
Right.
And they were in the teenage years. So then I had to start again, like diapers and feeding.
You thought you've done the trickier work
the
before.
moms groups, and had to do all that again, and but in a different, earlier way. So I've done it upside down.
Reverse.
But it's okay. I said to Wasim, when Isla turns 12, she's yours.
Because I've done mine.
I did the voices. She can ask you, can I do this study?
How did all of this give you the time to get into so many social causes? You started the foundation, we saw you active there, we saw you active in a lot of social conversations with so much to handle and understand and to, just get a grip on. How did you get the time to do all of this alongside?
Well, my boys are in college now. I think any mother that knows that when their children have gone to college, they have a lot more time on their hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's not that. Ever since I came to Pakistan, I started working what I could to help out, as I think anyone would. We did everything from dengue mosquito drives to clothes drives. We did water drives on the days where it was so hot. That drought, the year that we had that drought, I think it was in 2015. And I worked with hospitals, I worked with orphanages, I worked wherever I could. And that gave me, everyone was sort of asking or insinuating we should open a charity. And we did. So we started that, but then that started growing very quickly, and something that I didn't have my whole time to give because I just had Isla.
Yeah.
So being a new mom as well, I was like, this foundation is like a baby, and I needed to be there all the time and a part of it. But I felt like also issues that Pakistan was facing, I mean, I believe we're going through what's called like a cultural revolution. Things that we've been quiet on for so long are just coming out of, spewing out of our mouths and coming out on social media. I mean, social media is working for Pakistan, if anything.
True.
And I think there's so many things that we've, like I said, we've stayed quiet on that's now becoming dinner table conversations.
True. Yeah.
And I think that's a very important time to be, an amazing time to be living in Pakistan. And
you've been working for about 3 years now with the NICH. Tell us something about that.
So with my foundation, we were always wondering what area to go into. Was it women in sport? Were we talking about, were we doing domestic cricket? Were we working with orphanage? What were we doing? My heart has always been with the NICH. The NICH, if you don't know, is the National Institute of Child Health, and it's a 500-bed pediatric hospital in Sindh, in Karachi, and it's absolutely free of cost. So it saves, it treats over about a million children every year, absolutely for free. I urge you, if you haven't seen it, come down and visit. Come down and visit the hospital, see what goes on there, because most of the children that are in a hospital in Pakistan are there because we don't change our ways. We're there because we can't stop them because they've drank water that's unsanitary, or they've caught a disease that we haven't inoculated them or we haven't protected them from, and this is really sad. So half the children there don't need to be there.
True.
They're there in the ER because they've had an accident, because they've been on the back of a bike, or they've been in a car accident because they weren't wearing a seatbelt and they were jumping up in the front of a car, like flung from their mother's arms. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. We got to protect these children. That's what a job as a parent or an adult is you protect children.
And I think that's why we saw your social media post when you were really, really angry at somebody who was endorsing that this is a kind of fun when you sit on the bus stop or do something like that. I read that.
I think the driving situation, especially here, because I've been to Indus, I've been to all of the hospitals. I work closely with a lot of hospitals, and our ERs are completely congested by road accidents. Now imagine if we could take that away people started wearing helmets, people started putting their children in the back seat of the car, not the front seat. And
with the car seats,
yeah, and there weren't accidents like this. How many people could we be focusing on treating?
And these are all the things that's in our, those are in our control. These are all the things we can control without any aid, without any funding, just by common sense. I don't know if you've witnessed it.
Prevention is always better than cure.
Absolutely.
And I'm not there telling anyone, I'm living that. I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
So if we can
saw you clean the Karachi, sorry I'm cutting you.
Yeah, please.
We saw you clean the Karachi beach as well. Thank you for that. So a morning walk turned into something completely different. A morning run completely changed the city, the beach. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm in love with our beach. I walk that beach every day, have done for 4 or 5 years. My husband, we run on the beach. It's a beautiful beach. You know, by 6, 7 in the morning, not even the sun's really shining high. So we have the luxury, we're blessed with that beach. Yeah. And just to see it destroyed was really heartache. It was really, really concerning. But what got me was that I was so worried about people being hurt.
Medical waste.
I was scared. I was alarmed. I just had, all that went through my head was, if I call someone right now, are they really going to listen to me? Yeah. So I had to tell the most amount of people I could in the quickest amount of time. Yeah. And that's why my call to action. I had to tell the city. Yeah.
And that's what you did.
But the thing is, I was only part of, it wasn't a solution. It was clean, it's still being cleaned. The CBC and Defence have worked very hard cleaning up all the medical waste. Is it? It's not. It's coming in from the ocean. Yeah. It's coming in from our city. It's spewing out of our city, and it's not actually preventing what's happening. It's not. I didn't stop what's happening. Yeah. I just
managed to clean the surface of the thing. Yeah,
I want what everyone else in the city wants. I want to live a good life. Yeah. I want everyone around to live a good life. Living amongst rubbish, standing on syringes at your beach, you know, driving and being scared to get in the car that someone's going to be hurt. That's not right. These things aren't right.
Yeah. As a mother, does it ever worry you, or did the thought strike you once that, you know, Ayla can have a fantastic childhood in Australia, the kind of childhood you had. She's having a great childhood here as well, I'm sure. But did you ever think, oh my God, maybe it was better off in that continent?
Look, Australia will always be there, and Ayla will always be part of Australia.
Absolutely.
Right now, Pakistan needs people like Wasim. They need people like me. What would I be if I took Wasim away from his country? Yeah. I want to be here more than anything. This is an amazing country to live in. Yeah. We have a connection with the people. Everyone's helping out, and we're going through something together. This is the time when the history books will be written, where when you're a grandparent, your grandchildren will ask you, what was it like living in the early 2000s in Pakistan? Yeah. How did everything change? It's changing before your eyes. Just because it's culture doesn't mean we have to be living in the 1900s.
Absolutely. You've got to question the status quo.
We just have to modify our culture.
Absolutely.
We're not losing the culture.
Yeah. They say you can't learn more unless you unlearn, and I think as a nation we together have to unlearn a lot of things. 5 years from now, Shanira Akram, any big goals, any big plans, or you don't know?
Living with a smile, all of us living with a smile on our face, happy. I really don't have, my 5-year plan was to get to here, so.
All is done, everything's been tick marked.
I'm not going anywhere, I'm here.
You're here, thank you so much. Thank you for being you, and thank you for doing all that you're doing. Thank you very much for watching the show. Please do give us your feedback. अपना feedback ज़रूर दीजिएगा. बताइएगा आपको show कैसा लगा. अगर आपके पास शनीरा के लिए मज़ीद सवाल हैं तो हम इनको दोबारा भी बुला सकते हैं. The way to get to us is through our social media, and the addresses are on the screen.
Oh, I know what I'll be doing in 5 years.
Oh yeah,
speaking to you in fluent Urdu.
We're keeping an eye on that.
I can speak Urdu, I'm still very...
So I want you to close the program in Urdu.
Allah Hafiz. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you for that.
Dawn बहुत पसंद है. Asma बहुत पसंद है.